How's everybody tonight? Welcome to this Saturday, November 4th edition of live stream. Thought there was a little break in the action. The live streams every night, so I've just kind of fill in. I'm a bit of a rookie at this, but I think we've got it working. There's Sawmill Charlie, Old McNally, Michael, Randy, Shane, James, a whole bunch of people. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate that. We should have some guests coming in here soon. But in the meantime, so I'll tell you what I was doing today. There's a whole day of nothing, really. I tried, but everything I tried to do is just not going to work out. So you can see here, this is sort of what my bee yard looks like, but not as much snow. It's been pretty warm here. It was 2°C here today, and all the snow was melted off these colonies, and a lot of the snow in the apiaries gone. And I haven't moved my bees inside yet. So I thought this morning, well, I'll move inside today, but I went out there and the building was 11°C inside. I hadn't had the ventilation fan going. I haven't had the heat turned on in there for quite some time, and I thought it would cool down, but it hasn't cooled down far enough. I went outside and the bees were starting to get jumpy and they were starting to fly and whatnot. So I called that off. And wait for another day. I don't know how cold it's going to be tonight, but it hasn't been getting too terribly cold at night. And at these temperatures, I'm not too concerned about them being out, to be honest. They can weather some pretty cold weather. Sorry, I'm trying to run a technical job here too. They can weather some pretty cold weather, but I don't want it getting excessively cold at night. 4°C is what we're told is the theoretical minimum metabolic rate. So they eat the least amount of feed. And I know that doesn't go up dramatically as the temperature drops, but it does go up. So I don't want them to eat too much feed and run out of feed before spring as a result. So old McNally thinks he'll come in after his supper. That's great. Thank you very much. Oh, just getting things settled. And I got a giant cat sit on me here. Todd, Loma Vista, welcome.
Hang on, Brad. Caught me off guard there for a second. I'm pretty good.
That's okay. I'm flying solo and trying to do technical, and it's a full-time job here. Yeah, I need a producer. Doing okay. I was just saying that I got a whole ton of nothing done today. My plans were thwarted by the warmer weather. Norman says it's got to be global warming. Well, I don't know. I remember not that long ago it was far warmer than this. But, well, we won't get into that.
Yeah, let's leave it there.
So what's up in your part of the world, my friend?
Well, it's warm. It's since we're talking weather, it is Oh, yeah, of course. It's 80 degrees. It was 81 today, so now it's cooling off. Um, Let me get to the calculator here. 80 would be, if I can find it. I thought I had the calculator up here. Yeah, 80 is that somewhere around 25? I think. I don't know. 26. So it's
Yeah,
26 today.
that's nice.
Yeah. I did some mite washes. Everything's looking good. Um, just kind of in a holding pattern until, until it starts getting colder. Up north, it's supposed to rain. I talked to Jose a little bit via text, and he said he's scrambling around to get some stuff in before the weather hits tomorrow. So that's
So,
about it.
do you generally need to do regular mite treatments through winter?
No. Um, what I have is what I have in November. Uh, I'll hit them with oxalic acid sometimes. Um, Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But I'll do that in December. But I won't, I won't crack lids and shake them out in the tub and wash them. I'll just wait and see what I have in February.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, no no mite checks in the winter for me.
and no treatments.
No, no. Like I said, I have what I have, or it is what it is. Yeah, in December, late November, December.
Yeah,
Can't
kind of
tell you
like
what
me. That's it. Once they're put to bed, they're
Mhm.
done until probably April.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
long haul.
yeah. For you, I go nuts if I had to sit and think about bees in a building for 6 months. That would drive me crazy.
Well, yep, that explains my mental situation. I think
Mm,
I'm kind of crazy.
yeah, that would. Wow, I just couldn't imagine because sometimes I'll just go out. I'll drive out to the farm in January and just walk around, see if there's any traffic. If not, that's okay. If I see something, depends on the day.
Mm,
If I see something, hey, I know they're still moving. Sometimes I'll put my ear to the feed hole and see if I could hear anything, or I'll feel the side of the box and see if I feel heat. That's about it. Or actually, not the side of the box. Usually, what's better is if I put my hand over the entrance. I'll
oh
feel it.
yeah, they're probably ventilating. You can feel a little bit of
Yeah.
warmer air. Right on. Yeah, I do the same kind of thing in the shed.
Yeah.
Don't do much, but I'll go in there and just kind of stare at my wooden boxes.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Wow.
Uh, I got to go visit them, I suppose.
Just to say hi.
Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, it's just that's what it is. And I was going through my boxes today, and I'll be damned if uh, I left a lot of honey on there. I'm gonna be totally honest. I really messed up. But the other side of that conversation or argument is I'm not feeding. I didn't buy a thing of sugar today, so or not today, this season. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's it has its advantages, I guess, of leaving it on there. But I don't know. I surely was thinking of sales, numbers, but I'm either gonna spend it
So
or
you
I'm gonna
were
let
uh,
it.
you were you were making some creamed honey.
Correct? Yeah, yeah. I sold out of cinnamon the other night, and I whipped up what I had in the bucket a little while ago, kind of revived it, and I'll go buy some more jars tomorrow and bottle some more. And the next one of those is well, it's the every every first Thursday of each month. So I have time. I'm going to make a hot honey batch. I'm going to make chocolate creamed honey. I think I'll make another batch of peanut butter, but I'm going to make it a little stronger. And I might make, you ready for this one? I might make a cheesecake flavored honey.
Cheesecake.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking my language. That's one of my weaknesses is cheesecake.
Yeah, that's my kryptonite. So
yeah.
Yeah. But so anyway, that's what's what. Other than that, I'm just plugging along, just like everybody else. And
I see Randy come in the comments. He's saying he had to watch a bunch of commercials to get here. That's all right. Somebody's got to pay the bills, right? Oh, another guest coming in here.
Hey,
it's Cheesecake Charlie.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Charlie?
What's that?
I'm going to make a cheesecake flavored honey.
Yeah, you got to send me that too. That's my favorite.
I know, mine too. I haven't met one I don't like.
That and peanut butter.
Yeah, I'm going to make a stronger.
I really want to try that out.
Mm-hmm.
See Randy in the comments. I saw a picture of Randy standing next to Mr.
Walker.
Mr. Walker.
Mr. and Mrs. Walker.
Yeah.
There we go. The Motley Crew. Hey, there you are.
The Motley Crew. And don't mind what Bob's going to say. There's buttons.
Well, hello.
There's T&H.
Hello.
Did I get her?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right there. I think.
Welcome.
I think Amy's over there too.
Hey, Amy.
Trying to get everybody. Yeah, so we saw your live, and we wanted to totally, do corporate takeover of the live stream.
There you go.
It's like
Enterprise, right?
That.
Well, we're trying to, here. That's who you really want to see. No. Tim and Hannah, so you really want to see.
What's on the menu?
Maybe
tonight?
we should do a formal introduction, since maybe not everybody gets who everybody is. So you're looking at Mr. Randy McCaffrey here, the DirtRooster, and just off camera there is Mr. Bob Walker Bee Ranch, and
there's Tim.
There's Tim.
Hannah, Gunline Bees.
Sorry.
That's good.
Okay.
I just introducing everybody.
And we got this. We got
Charlie. What are you eating?
McDonald's
popcorn. No, McDonald's.
Oh, what I do?
I need to make some popcorn.
I don't ever do this on the phone. Comments or chat? Chat.
We can still see and hear you, so
we can hear you.
No, I was trying to see the chat on the phone, and it just kind of flipped over to a different screen. So we can watch the chat on my phone.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we still got you.
Is it too loud? Is the background too loud here?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's plenty loud. I don't know if you can temper your microphone at all.
I can't hear you, Bob. There's too much background noise.
Well, we're outdoors on the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, that's the ocean.
On the Mississippi Ocean. I've taken more crap over calling it the ocean. You have no idea. So hey, Lisa says hello. Well, hello. You do not need to see what's up my nose. Well, the problem is the light on the screen. I can't see.
The sun is right behind
we
you.
can see you just fine.
It's Danae. Oh, Danae. I'm sorry. Look, I'm backing up trying to read my phone. My wife keeps telling me I need glasses, but guys, well, I know we're loud and obnoxious over here, so we'll watch and let you guys go about it. And we'll talk to you guys again.
So hey, Tim.
Before you go,
So, Bob,
what's
how
the
did
menu?
it go today?
You know, the show went really good. I was hoping for a little bit better.
Bob hadn't figured this whole thing out, so what he did was he bought more than he sold.
Really?
My truck is slam full. The back seat is floor to ceiling.
Bob don't know the program yet. What you got to do is you got to sell the stuff.
That's true. Hey, but I do have some pricing updates coming on those nuke boxes and poly hives. So, or not poly, plastic hives. So
Awesome.
this week coming up, we'll talk about that. All right, guys, we're gonna hop off here so you guys can actually enjoy the conversation.
Okay. Well, thanks for checking in.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you guys later.
Y'all have fun.
See ya.
Oh, that was fun. Nice to see
Yeah,
them
that was
all.
What he bought this time?
Well, he bought a bunch of frames.
Huh?
Yeah, I bought a bunch of frames. A bunch of Ultra V powder.
It sounded like he was from yesterday. He was doing well selling Apis and maybe the Apitabs and all that stuff. Getting some connections.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So what's the latest in your world, Charlie?
Well, I worked on my bottling tank today. I had drained it more or less and got it down to where it's almost hardly anything in there. And so I could put my new fresh this year's crop in there. And the other thing I was wondering whether to wash it out or not. And I'm looking at it, and up on the top part of the barrel wall, there was, I guess it's pollen. Doesn't the pollen kind of stick to the heated walls? I don't know whether you guys have more experience with that or not, but anyway, it was some crud, as I call it, and it's kind of wet and sticky. And I got to thinking this morning when I got up getting ready to go out, and nobody had showed up, for customers and stuff. I said, I got a brand new 6-inch wide scraper. So I went around and I started scraping little by little. And of course it peeled up onto the scraper and stuck there. So it didn't fall. And that was my concern because I had a piece of cardboard underneath of it just to catch anything impossible. So basically I went all the way around it to where all that stuff was at. There was only a small band of it about that wide, and cleaned that off, looked at the rest of the wall. It's nice and bright, shiny stainless with maybe, I don't know how it is. The pollen, there's like pollen crystal or particle here. They're little, like a little peppery, like kind of like sandpaper, very minute. And I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I really don't want to wash this thing out. And I'm thinking to myself, if I put honey in there, it's going to do the same thing anyway. And I got rid of all the real trashy looking crap in there. So I wound up after work, I closed up today. I dumped 165 gallons or 165 pounds of honey in there. And that's 3 buckets. So it's like 55 pounds per bucket. And then I got room for at least another bucket, if not 2, to fill it up. And what I do, I have a refrigerator that's a hot box in the basement. It holds 3 buckets. I took all 3 buckets out of there, put it in the tank, took 3 more buckets and put it in the hot box for a week. And then I'll at least take one of the buckets out and keep filling that tank up. And then I had some honey containers that I was draining that tank out with. And I had some of them were quart jars, mason jars, and some of them were normal, 3-pound honey containers, 1-pound honey containers. And the only problem I have with that is, and I don't know what it is. What is the white foam? Is it just air or is it just, I don't know, crud? I don't. I took a little baby spoon, and I took it and I just pulled that garbage out of there to make it better presentation and all that.
That froth, my wife thinks that's a real delicacy. She
Is that right?
loves that froth. Oh, it's just
That white froth.
yeah, yeah. And I think I think it's whipped wax because I
Mhm.
know if in my process if I get too much honey in my extractor and the rotor starts hitting the honey, it'll whip that and turn it into that white frothy stuff, and it's really hard to get rid of. But
Yeah, well, I
some
think that's
people
where
it's
I
okay
messed.
because they love it.
Yeah, I think that's where I messed up is when I looked in the tank and I had about, oh, I don't know, maybe an inch worth of honey in there. But you could see it floating in there. It was crystallized honey. So I turned the heat up a little bit more to decrystallize. But I took a rubber spatula and I stirred it. And I think I whipped air into it by doing that.
Okay.
And by just kind of stirring it up and getting it kind of distributed across the whole bottom of the tank evenly. And it did, um, it did, get rid of the crystallization. And I emptied the tank out, and then
And
I
it
actually,
will float too. So if
yeah,
you're
it
bottling
floats
off the
too.
bottom, that it'll float.
And then
Um,
I emptied all the
Thank you so much, Nature Sweet Bees. Appreciate that very much.
into the different containers and stuff. And then and then I actually took the spatula and kind of brought the honey. The honey was kind of like around the edge of the wall, and just kind of swept it around and got it to go through the valve as much as possible. And so anyway, like I say, I got it all cleaned out. It looks good. It was clean, and I went ahead and dumped in 3 buckets of honey. Got that cleaned up, and then I got um, I had some actual honey containers that I sell. Took that, frothed off of there, and let it sit for a few hours. Yeah, well, it was like I was, in a process, and I went actually. What I did was I took those containers and put them in the hot box in the basement, so they would all that air and bubbles would come to the top, and I could get rid of it, and it worked out fine. And then, so I did that, and I got all that put away, and got all the bottles fixed, and so I'm good to go. Like I say, I'm back to square one where all I got to do is dump in buckets of honey. How many hives how am I feeding? I'm doing 30 this year. Usually it's 32. And or jars, neither top high feeders. I did 1,200 pounds of sugar, which created 200 gallons of sugar water at a little bit less than 2 to 1. So my pump will pump it because my pump's a diaphragm pump. If I actually made it
You were
true 2
using
to 1.
jars not long ago, though, weren't you?
That was maybe for some spot feeding.
Okay.
I'll
Because
use
remember
jars.
you had a system where you covered the jars up with a box or
Yeah,
something.
that was like if I have a 2-frame mating nute, I'll use little pint jars to keep that, because it's only 2 frames of bees, and I'm feeding it and stuff like that. What, Todd?
No, Mark's comment. I'm about ready to shave
Uh,
this thing. It's getting rough.
Handsome father time over there.
Yeah.
yeah, but now I use little pint jars, and then sometimes I use quart jars, kind of spot feeding certain hives. That's more of a summertime type thing. But now when I'm ready to load them and let them pack honey or pack sugar water honey for the winter time, that's when I put the top high feeders on. And and then I guess you call it the analogy or the theory behind that is I met or not met, but I was listening to Michael Palmer up in Vermont, and he was talking about using the quart jars with so many holes in it versus, he uses paint buckets that are new. And he said, if you're restricting the flow of food into that hive, it comes in at a rate where the bees are taking it and either using it for their own food or using that to feed the brood. And they're not really going to store that much of it. And then he says, when you want them to store, you need to have that food coming in at a higher rate. And I always tell my folks in my club, I said, you have to flip the switch in the bee's mind and say, hey, we can't eat all this, so we're going to have to store it because, it's just coming in too fast. So that's where I put on top high feeders on all my hives. That's what I started out with years ago. And I used the licensed top high feeders. They fit a 5-frame regular wooden box on a nuke. And then, of course, I had that one purple hive right there, which is a license. I finally figured out why they have them real wide flanges. That's where that top comes down and sits on that and holds that hive in there, or the top hive feeder.
Oh, I see.
And then
I wondered about that too when I see those pictures. They've got that flange.
well, it's got
why
that
is that?
square top, and that wall is about 1.5 inches, I think, to close to 2 inches thick. I think it's 1.5 inches, and that's where that lid sits down on, and you have to adjust your clamps there to not be overly, pulling down too tight. And then I use the Man Lake top high feeders that have the mesh in the middle, and the bees come up at the middle and they can go over to both sides. Because of my tank system being 40 gallons, I know that I can fill 22 nukes, or let's see, what is it? 20 nukes and 12 production hives. But using with 40 gallons, the 5 framers take 3 quarts, and the 10 framers, I can put 4 gallons in there, but I only feed one side of that top high feeder. So it's approximately 2 gallons. So that I know I can, one tank full fills it all up, and then I got to make another tank for the next day. Because usually, within 24 hours, if it's the first feeding or second feeding, that sugar water is gone. Most likely in 8 hours, it's totally gone. And that's how I
Those
feed.
Man Lake type top feeders, do they make those in anything but a 10 frame?
They do make them, I believe, in 8 frame. I think.
Right.
They're
no
not
smaller ones.
Actually, yeah, I do know that a friend of mine. I actually picked one up for a friend of mine at my friend's, he's a Man Lake dealer, and I help him, get package bees and stuff. So they do make 8 and 10 frame. The main thing about that feeder is, if anybody is in a chat looking to buy one of them, you look at that feeder and make sure when that screen comes down to the bottom of that plastic basin in there, there's like dental molding across the bottom. The new ones have the dental molding, and that actually it kind of fits in there. With the screen is here, and the dental molding is like this, and it holds the bottom of that screen from being pushed out by the bees. The original ones only had like a little V like this, and it would be pushed out, and the bees would get in there and drown. So make sure when you're looking at that, I'm sure now if you find any dealer that sells a lot, he probably has the most recent model out there. But that's one thing you want to look for. And because I went to a guy who was selling out some stuff, and I said, oh, there's a brand new, Man Lake feeder. Well, I didn't look close enough, and there's the older style, and I haven't had any problems with it. And all the rest of the ones that I had bought are all the newer style feeders and stuff like that. So
I did have a number of those when I started beekeeping, and they were the older style that you described, and I didn't use them very long, but I never had any problems with them. So they didn't get a chance to get old on me.
Right. When it comes to feeding, I mean, I mean, I know you use buckets and the half-gallon jars, I believe they are, and all, and
Yeah,
it's just whatever you're set up for. You're set up for with the migratory lid and all that, and then the buckets are the way to go.
I
You
think a
know,
hive top feeder really gets the feed in them a lot faster. It just gives them almost unlimited access to the feed,
right?
whereas a bucket doesn't. It's whatever, like you said earlier, it's whatever will kind of come out of that bucket or jar, on a continuous basis. And I think
Right.
that's part of what my struggle was this year with some of the jars. I don't think had very many holes, or not very many, not big enough holes in the lid, and maybe held it back a little too much.
And
It's
another
surprising
thing
the
is
size of
in
hole you can put in that lid.
mhm. um I'm going to say a 16th of an inch holes. I think that I don't know. They
That's what I
look
use. Yeah.
something
I'll
like
use
that.
12 to 15 16th inch holes in the lid, and it's fine.
Right. And that's like with Bob from Walker Bee Ranch. He learned that if you want to put weight on a hive, you got to use 2 to 1. He kept trying to feed 1 to 1 all the time. And then when he switched over to 2 to 1, then he started seeing the bees put it in the comb and start storing it. And that's another thing that you have to kind of understand and all. What is this?
Well, I'm sort of looking for a solution for my 6 framers. I can use the little gallon pails that I have. I don't really like those pails though. Um, the jars, there's a lot of things I like about them, but there's a lot of hate too. They're not very
Mhm.
big, for one, and they're exceedingly hard to open at times.
I like Nature Sweet
So
Bees.
I do really.
He finds the top high feeders to be easier to clean at the end of the year and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, they would be.
I kind of look at it this way. It depends how big you are. Whereas Brad's got 150 to 200 beehives, and buying that many feeders, that's a big expense. And
Well, it's a
I
big
mean, the
expense for sure. Those
buckets can
pails
be,
don't come for free though.
that's right. That's true.
The buckets are, but a bucket probably, that 2.5 gallon bucket that I use for the big hives. I'll bet you that's a good piece cheaper than a Man Lake top
Man, like top high
hive top
feeder, let's
feeder.
say a 10 frame is probably $35 right now. That's quite a
Yeah,
bit of
well,
money.
that's 3 times what a bucket would cost.
Right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like when I bought those.
Hey, Norman, thank you very much. He's got a little riddle there for us.
But it's just like when I bought. I expanded my nuke yard there as far as the amount of nukes and stuff like that. I had, let's say, 10 nukes. I had to buy 20 more feeders from Better Bee. There wasn't really any price break at all for that. That was quite a bit of money. So
Shane says you could get larger jars with standard lids. I do have what I think is the largest mason jar I've seen at a 1/2 gallon. It's 1.9 liters.
mhm.
I have some large pickle jars, but the lids, I've honestly, I've never used them because I'm not convinced that the lids seal well enough to not leak really, really badly. So I kind of would like to use those. I've got a bunch of them, and that's a gallon. So that would be really nice, I think.
So it's just the buckets you don't like, not the quantity?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel the buckets leak too much, and the thing where the little plug where the screen is,
Mm-hmm.
the lid cracks where the hole is,
Oh,
and then it leaks again. I just don't like pails overall, but it's a love-hate, right?
yeah.
You hate them, but that's kind of the best thing in that situation. Like Charlie was saying, with the scale, what are you going to do? Everybody uses pails.
Mhm.
Everybody
Well,
uses
and
pails.
then you got, I know a lot of guys with 4-way pallets, they put a frame feeder in, whether it be a 2-frame feeder or a frame and a half feeder, a bigger
Yeah.
one, that holds, let's say, a gallon or gallon and a half. Then you lose space for your bees.
Yeah.
And that situation. And then you got to deal with the bees coming out at you. You can't, at least that's what my
Yeah.
uh, theory would be. That's one thing I always liked
Well,
about
they're
the top
great for the
high feeder.
migratory guys.
Yeah.
The migratory guys use those in hives feeders because they're in the hive. They can move those bees around all they want. And they've got the feeder in there all the time.
Yeah, Steve, I forgot to email you that address. I'll get it to you.
They pollinator guys, commercial guys. So when they're on 4-way pallets, they put those feeders on the inside. So all they have to do is just move that lid a little, one frame over to the outside, and
Yeah.
they just hit it and put it back together. You're in and out.
Earl, I don't really have a price list published that a person can see, but anybody can email me or anything if they're interested in woodenware, and I'll let them know what the current prices are. Thanks for asking. So Ceracell has a 5-frame. I doubt it'll fit your 6s. Yeah, the 6s are a little bigger, and I don't know if any kind of a 5-frame would work. It might. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I would love to use, I think anyway. I'm going to be trying some different feeders, I think, next year. I was actually talking to Ian, and he suggested that the hive top feeders don't work very well in the spring for feeding. So, I think I'm going to try that out for myself and see what the difference is. Spring isn't as big a deal because I don't feed very much in the spring. Fall is when I need to really get the feed into them fast. Okay, Earl's about 150 miles from me, so you're in Canada, Earl? So anyway, still looking for a kind of a better feeding solution. It was one of those things, you kind of always work on the things that you hate, and I hate feeding bees. I don't like it. Maybe I'm just lazy. Well, I know I'm lazy, but it's just one of those things that I don't like doing, and if the easier I can make it, the better. I got the pump, and with my 100-foot feeding hose and the nozzle and stuff on the end, and that's helped me out a lot. But it's still I don't like it. International Falls. Oh, okay, I know where that is.
What, you don't like your pumping system?
No, I like the pumping system. That's made things a lot easier for me. Just overall, I don't I don't like the process. I don't like the feeding process. So I don't know if a different vessel is what I'm after. I do think the jars probably caused me more grief than they were worth this year. So maybe it's just a matter of go and buy more of those little pails, right? And just kind of put the jars aside. The jars I like in the spring because I can feed a half a gallon at a time. I can see how the feed is going down. They don't have to take it real fast. So
I think Paul there from Hale Hives was talking about bulk feeding. Are we talking about like an open feeding type of thing? I'm not really big on that. I've tried that, and I kind of, like you say, I want that individual hive to get the food and directly.
I've done that, and it does work well. there's always some mortality and whatnot. So everything's got a downside. Um, because I've had a Nosema problem, I stopped doing that for a couple of years.
Mhm.
So I believe that I have the Nosema problem kind of not solved, but kind of under control. So I think I can maybe go back to an open feeder, perhaps next year.
Mm.
So that
Use flexible pipes and automated feeding. That would be really nice. Just set up a feeding system throughout the apiary. Just drip feed them. That'd be fantastic.
I wouldn't mind open feeding if sugar wasn't so expensive. It's like almost triple of what I was buying it for, 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. It's crazy,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
because you'd be feeding everybody else's bees.
Yeah, I don't have everybody else's bees to feed, but I've got lots of hornets and yellow jackets that would be
Well,
taking it too, and I don't
yeah.
Yeah,
need to make their
that's
job easier.
that's like last night. I went on the other bee chat that a club that I belong to, and there was a guy on there that he was talking about. He had found sugar prices at 55 cents a pound, and all that. I said, well, are we talking 40-pound bags, 50-pound bags, or what? We're talking 4-pound bags. I said, buddy, I said, when I'm doing 1,200 pounds, that's like 30, actually, between me and a friend of mine, we bought 1,750 and it was like 35 bags or more. And, it's like, that's just, I paid, I think it was 65 cents. So I paid an extra 10 cents, but the convenience, all I had to do is go to the restaurant store. They put the tailgate off. They came with a forklift, put the pallet on, and I tied it down and I was done, he's going there like the stores they have. And it's true. It's like, canning season is when they'll have a lot of sugar, candy making season. And I says, I can't pack, I've tried that where I've bought, um, bags of sugar, 25-pound bags from Walmart, which are paper bags, stored it in my basement. The damn mice got into it,
Oh,
Oh
into
boy.
one of them where they ate in, 4 inches in and it was the width of the thing. And then I had mice problems. And then on top of that, the plastic or the paper bags absorbed the moisture in and they became
The sugar goes hard.
like a rock. Now
Yeah.
one thing, I stored 250 pounds of sugar last from this time until when I needed it in September of this year, and it was just as good as the day I put it in there, but it was in a plastic bag. I don't know whether that makes a difference, where they seals out the moisture or what, but it worked out well. And
So Triton says I'm going to try to build some hive top feeders for 6 frames, and I was thinking exactly the same thing actually. Just a tip on the woodworking part to get them sealed. I think if you use a product like PL Premium on the joints that seal that hive top feeder, that probably would seal that up quite well. And then you can wax dip them and prevent the syrup from absorbing into the wood.
the original top hive feeders that I bought were wooden and they were homemade, and they had they were out of plywood, and they had masonite board, I think it is, in the bottom of it. And then of course they used a lot of silicone sealant in the corners and stuff. And he had a board in there with some other boards attached that kind of pushed out the screen, and then made a screen over top. But on the edges, the fit was not all that great, and you really had to take and caulk it and stuff to keep the bees going around the edges and getting into the top hive feeder and stuff. And then they were getting kind of bad, and Man Lake started coming out with them new plastic ones. And I'm like, and these, These here, they were plywood. They would get stuck on the wax, and then the ply would start peeling off in slivers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
And we could pick a topic tonight. Just do not pick the hive tool topic.
why?
Don't get
That will,
don't get me going to hive tools.
that will end the
No,
show.
sir.
Oh, that.
That won't go well. It won't end well.
Oh, jeez.
Floating rocks.
Rack.
Randy has. Oh, racks. Sorry.
Floating rocks.
Fixed frame hive top feeders with floating racks.
I bought one of them when I first started and never used it. That's the biggest drowning thing I think there ever was.
Oh.
I don't know. What about those
Well,
wrap?
I could use a 5-frame as you could put a thing under a 5-framer to make it bigger on the bottom, just some wood or something to stretch it out.
Brad, have you seen those rapid feeders? The circular ones?
Oh, the rapid rounds.
Rapid rounds?
Yeah,
All you have to
No,
do is make a
no.
box and you put it right on top of the hive, and as they say,
Yeah. Brian said he had a great.
Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. Yeah.
Oh, I see. It's like a chicken
Yeah,
water.
Yeah, and it has a clear a clear lid, and it has a round
cone
that goes over the middle of the donut there, and they come up, and then they walk down the ridges in that cone, and they get to the feed, and they walk back down, and that cone stays there. So all you do is you lift the lid off, and you just pour the syrup in there. They can't get out. They could see you, but they can't get out, and then you put that on, put the lid on.
The one thing that I'd have to experiment with and that I'm concerned with is you can see this stack of hives here. Which side? This side. There's a couple of them. There's actually this one down here, and there's a couple more over here that actually have little pails on them. There was 3 of them. I've taken one pail off today. They were actually still taking feed in the very cold weather and the snow. So those pails are nice that way because they offer you that little right above the lid. The bees don't have to go far. They just go through the lid, and they've got that little space that's about a bee space or a little bit higher, the size of that pail in there. And you've seen, I'm sure Ian has showed it a lot on his videos, where he'll have a big snowstorm, and then he'll lift a pail, and there's bees all the way up on that pail, and you wouldn't guess that. So I'm wondering if the hive top feeder, being that they have to come through there and then go all the way up kind of thing and then down and get the feed. My cat's chewing on my headset wire. That I'll have to experiment with that and see if it's effective, or if the cold weather then makes them stop feeding.
Yeah, I know that some of the newer beekeepers around here, of course, we're using inner covers. And hey, Doug.
Doug used that round hive top feeder. Didn't work well for him. So he's kind of in more my climate too. So
yeah.
What was I going to tell you?
I didn't have problems with
what's
them.
the most creative tool you've used when you forgot your hive tool? That's an interesting question.
Oh, I know what it was. A lot of the newer beekeepers down here, they'll leave the inner cover on and put the top hive feeder on top of that. And I'm like, that means the bees have got to come up out of the hole and then go up into the feeder. It's too much of a distance, I think, especially if it's cold.
Yeah.
I mean, I put them right on.
I'm probably trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, is what I'm probably trying to do. Yeah, this is a good point. put a box around those late buckets. They should take it faster. I think that's a really good point. That's just adding work is all. I've got to drag out 100 boxes or 150 boxes and put them down over there. That's that's one of those things that's maybe effective for the bees, but maybe not for the beekeeper. That's a good suggestion, though. I've done that, and it does, it does work well, especially if the wind is blowing my bales all over.
Well, I don't have that much. I don't have a big weather problem like you do up north, Brad. But minus 4C is about as low as it gets. So,
well, that'd be nice, I guess. It's not much colder than that here right now. It's really weird.
Well, you're at 50
today
degrees.
Was so
there.
nice. We were 2C here today, and not a breath of wind, and I was outside most of the day.
Well, my question is, Brad, I watched your video while I was in between customers today. And and it's like, I said, Brad, where's your hat at? You're going to freeze your head off. And then
I don't know. It's not that bad.
Really? I mean, I got to have a hat. I just, as cold as, if it's 30 degrees.
I got a little more going on here than.
Yeah, but I guess I always wear a hat. It's part of me. But then you slipped on that ice. That looked pretty bad.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I wasn't sure what, I slipped and I laid there a long time. I was thinking, I don't know if I even can get up. I don't know if I broke anything,
Yeah.
I swear it looked like I thought you were carrying a pry bar in your left hand. That's what it looked like to me.
It was a snow brush.
Glad you didn't impale yourself on it.
Yeah, I could have impaled myself even on a snow brush.
Ooh.
Joe says those rabbit rounds, they get out and die when they go empty.
Yeah, you have to keep an eye on them. Sometimes
that's what I found with all my top hive feeders, that I always try to keep them full, because even those license, even though it's a small little crack on below there where the water goes underneath, they will try to scoot underneath there, and they'll get out in the middle of the darn thing.
They'll lift it up. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's bags. Forgot about that.
If I were you, I'd figure a way to fill bags in the shop. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Ziploc bags.
It's just that I have to get so much feed into them. I'm not sure, because even the nukes, even the 6-frame nukes I was feeding with a half-gallon jar, and I needed to feed at least 6 of those half-gallon jars. So a bag, I'd be out there twice a day changing bags, I think. I can't say for sure because I've never done it, but the bags they're not half a gallon. So I don't know.
And they're a one-time use thing, as far as I know. It's one-time use.
I guess so, eh?
Yeah, you slit them and
bags.
Yeah, it's a lot of waste. All that. But yeah, it was about 60 some degrees here today, which is 16 degrees Celsius and all.
Oh, that's a nice day.
Yeah, it was.
Mark Miller, I use 1 gallon bag. That's a big bag.
Yeah, tomorrow it's supposed to get up to 66 degrees. Which is,
well,
that's 19 degrees.
Oh, look at Charlie's got the You got everything. What'd you do? Make a printout?
Oh, you mean as far as
Or
the
you-
Celsius? Yeah.
Converter,
I
2
know,
degrees, 2
I have the
degrees again tomorrow.
I have the conversion chart on my phone.
Yeah, I got that on off of the internet there. I got tired of trying to figure out what all that was. But that's what I did with when I first started my channel, all the folks in here in order to remember them and their handles, as I call it, and then what their real name is. I have a spreadsheet of that too. But I've
Yeah,
gotten
that's smart. I can't remember all the names.
well, some of my, like most of them I can remember now because I've been at it for a while. But I also have their location where they live and stuff. And
So
all
he's
that.
databasing all our information. He's going to sell it.
Ain't much here to
Start
sell.
stealing identities or something. Ain't much here to sell. So we've exhausted the options for feeding now.
Well,
Going into winter, not too much going on.
no, not really.
Yeah.
This is quick with the conversations, huh?
So somebody was asking on my last video about can you show around the bee barn, and I'll do that. I did a little bit today, so I'll put that up for next weekend's video. Hopefully I'll have some footage of moving the bees in and describe what's going on there.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you fall in front of your friends and they laugh, you're still young. If you fall and they run over and ask if you're okay, you're old. That's right.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that I didn't get hurt. I just, I didn't really get hurt. A little sore, but not anything major at all. I just couldn't believe it. The tractor gymnastics. That moving that tank. I was saying to my wife, the interesting things you remember when you're young. When I was a young man, my dad came to me one day. He said, "Get your boots on. We're gonna go across the road and we're gonna load up that sawmill and move it down to the yard." And I thought, "We're gonna do what?" Because he had a low bed trailer and whatnot, and I'm thinking, well, do you rent a crane today or something? We're gonna lift that sawmill up and put it on a trailer. He said, no, we got a come along winch, we got a hydraulic jack and a jack all and a bunch of blocks of wood, and we're gonna move that thing. And I thought, well, he's finally, jumped a cog or something, because that sounds crazy. We went out there with that trailer and those few tools, and we got that sawmill on that trailer in I don't know how long it was. It was a few hours. If you can move it an inch, you can move it. And that's the kind of thing I remember when I think about, how am I going to get that tank off of that trailer? I can't lift it and put it on the ground, but I can move it 5 inches down 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Now what's
happened.
what's Charlie needs a chart for kilometers and pascals. What's a pascal?
Pascals. That's pressure.
Okay.
That's what they tried it when they tell us. I think they tell us how much pressure goes in our tires now. They're trying to tell us in metric, and it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm all PSI still. Yeah, pascals are barometric pressure. Generally, they talk in kilopascals, I think.
It's a new one. Never heard of that.
I have to agree with you there, Zig. Brad needs to seriously think about trading a little tractor in and getting something bigger.
Well, often I wish I had bigger tractor and a lift bigger, but often I'm glad that thing's so small because it can get into places and do the work I need.
It's
So I
true.
certainly wouldn't get rid of the one I have. I'd like to get a second one that's bigger.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Let me know when those geese are headed south. A bigger, yeah, yeah, yeah. It worried me too when the thing come off the pallet and the back wheels of the tractor came off the ground. That was pucker factor. But I was ready for
Yeah.
it. I knew it was going to happen, and as soon as it would drop, I'd hit
There's
the down button.
there's a picture on the darn Facebook page. I don't know where I seen it, and it's a Ford tractor with a front end loader on it, and he's cutting a tree down, and he's cutting it, and then
Oh yeah, barber chairs on them.
it split up, like that, and it hinged.
Yeah,
And it caught that
yeah,
crossbar on that front end loader because I think he was
yeah.
trying to push the tree over. It brought that,
Likely.
it yanked that darn tractor's hanging up on that darn tree trunk up in the midair.
Yeah, the tractor's hanging right up there off the ground.
Yeah, a good 6 feet off the
4 feet
ground.
off
I'm
the
like,
ground.
how in the world are you going to get that down? And Hive
Well,
like, yeah.
I'm glad there's not a Chevy tractor because then I wouldn't hear the end of it from Brad.
I'm not going to bite.
Yeah, I know. I'm baiting you. I'm throwing out the bait and just sitting here, reeling, no bite.
Yeah, how about a second tote to pump into? Now, here's a story on that. Okay. I kind of had that idea, and so a couple of years ago, I bought a second tote. Actually, the tote I have is the second tote I bought, and the first tote I had is actually a much nicer tote, just newer and in very much better condition. And it sat for quite some time, like 3 years or something, and I never touched it. So my buddy needed a tote, and he was up here one day, and I said, "There's a tote. I never use that tote. Take that one home and pay me for it." And so he did, and now I kind of want it because I could have pumped my syrup into the second tote.
Mm-hmm.
Just goes to show, never get rid of anything, right?
That's right. As soon as you get rid of it, that's when you need it, within a week later.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah,
the
I've seen
story.
that.
Yeah, thought of that.
Yeah. Let's see.
I wish Boris was going to Nobby with his hive lifters, but I don't think he is. I haven't talked to him for a while. I haven't gone to see him for a while, so I'm not sure exactly his situation now. I don't know if he's still doing all his own manufacturing or what.
Is that the one that's made your lifter?
Yeah, Boris.
Yeah, I like to see him go down there to Nobby.
Yeah, that homemade lifter that Buddy made, did a pretty good job of it. We're gonna maybe try and put one together for myself, since he's kind of worked out some of the bugs and knows how to do it now. Because I think that would really help out. It's another thing I hate doing is moving bees, but I hate moving bees because I hate loading and unloading my tractor.
Oh, you're talking about that crane system that guy had.
Well, that was the second comment, that the lifter. Yeah. He forgot the remote control, so he had to take the control box apart and have his buddy go, "Okay, go up, click, go up, and then get the other wire. Okay, go down. Okay, go up, and okay, go down. So it took 2 of them. They figured it out though.
Yeah,
I
that
pulled most of them off the trailer with the tractor when we got home because the tractor was right here, so it was pretty fast.
well, yeah, sometimes it's like you say with a tractor like that and front end loader, you can have them off before he gets started. It's slow, especially when it comes to
Well,
that
I
pull.
think if I had a loader like that on my trailer, that's exactly what I would do. I'd go to the out yard, load the hives with the arm loader, and then come home and then just grab them with the tractor because that's fast.
It's the same thing
I
Ian
can
does.
grab,
Think about
yeah,
it
that kind of thing with the forklift. Yeah,
with the forklift.
yeah.
I
Larry, Moe, and Cahrlie. Yeah. So
guess I'm Cahrlie.
no, I think he was referring to the 3 guys doing the loader thing. One guy running it, one guy sparking the wires together, and me standing there with the camera.
Oh, Brian's asking me where my next event is, and Brian, it's I'm just doing those events that are first Thursday of every month down by our main office where I work. So that's it. The nice thing about it is I don't get charged a vendor fee since I'm an employee and it's on our property. So I don't mind that. Free entry is always good. I'll have some stuff.
Brian was talking about his, what was it? It was a propolis soap.
Mm.
Yeah, just cut the propolis soap. Looks amazing.
Welcome, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Good evening.
So they upgraded your weather forecast?
Yeah, we're just supposed to get rain now.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was showing snow here today, but it was quite a nice. It was overcast all day, but it was a very pleasant day out there.
Yeah, we were the same.
I'm just trying to catch up on the comments here, see what everybody's talking about there. So, yeah. So, what do you think, Doug? Leave my bees out or push them in and leave them out and let them get a little cold, or push them in and try and keep the building cool?
I think I'd leave them out just yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. You were saying about what 50F today, Brad?
Get as many cleansing flights as possible.
Today, yeah, I don't want them to fly though. I don't want them to fly, and they might. We're looking at some really warm weather coming up in the next 2 weeks, like
around
6 and 7 degrees.
6, 7 degrees, 42, 44 degrees.
Today, no, it was only 2 today.
No,
35 degrees.
He was saying what you were just saying about coming up or next week, I think.
Yeah, 7 is the highest number I can see coming up. So that's like 45.
45.
Mm.
That's pretty warm. 7 when my barn should be 4, and it's 7 outside, and outside air is all I've got to cool the building. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's not going to work for you. That's for sure.
So Doug thinks leave them outside. Well, thanks for saying that, because that's kind of what I've been thinking. Our overnight lows -7 on next Thursday is what it says. And, next Tuesday, overnight low is 0. So
Can you
I think they need to sit outside.
I told you
can have them outside.
Yeah, well, if you can see this picture, that's what I have here. I have them stacked. Just kind of because that's how I grab them. I'll just run up there, grab a pair and then shove them in the building.
I told you you're going to have a warm winter, Brad.
You did. You told me that 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm. So far, the forecasters are correct, but they're always wrong eventually. So we'll see what happens.
Well, it's an average, like the one guy from down there it's not Kentucky, West Virginia. He said that they were predicting his area being warm. So,
well, it's that damn El Nino.
But it's especially in an El Nino year, it's not unusual for us to get 5 degrees or warmer early December. So I don't really want my barn full of bees if the temperature is going to be going that high. That would be just terrible, I think.
Well, all I know is I'm prepping for wet weather, like what happened last year. So, right now that's what they're saying. We're going to get another, what they call atmospheric river.
Atmospheric river.
Yeah.
They come up with all these
storms, and now they're naming winter storms where they only used to name hurricanes. I don't get all this stuff.
Are they trying to make it sound big and bad?
I guess.
Well, usually that's usually what they're doing.
Well, they're all trying to, it's the what is it? The global warming.
So
they're trying to hype it.
Just so you can pay them to make it better.
Next, they'll be naming earthquakes.
Yeah.
After they happen, they'll give them a name, and then
you can pay them to make the earthquakes go away.
I seen you got a bunch of
Doug?
down in the south of your state in California. There's a bunch of fires or something going on down there.
Really? No,
we got rain in the forecast tonight, Sunday, Tuesday,
rain tonight,
and Wednesday. So we've got rain next 4 out of 5 days, and it'll freeze at night, so we'll have ice too.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be driving anywhere.
Yeah, I wanted to update you guys on something here. I said something about it, and I got a little more confirmation about it. News: the Bee Informed Partnership is to shut down. They ran out of money. I don't know whether that doesn't really concern, I guess, everybody up in Canada, but they in late October, unofficial news come of the immediate shutdown of the Bee Informed Partner due to funding issues, and many of community members know that the Bee Informed was founded by Dennis von Agensdorf and all that. So then they're trying to, the folks that had the job there, trying to find other jobs in the different bee labs and stuff like that. So that is a definite for here. They were doing a lot of statistics where, how many bee deaths, through the wintertime and what parts of the year and all that kind of stuff. My question with that was, and I looked at those questionnaires and stuff like that, and I told them, I said, if you want us to answer the questions accurately, we need to know the questions in advance so we can keep notes of all that kind of statistics. I don't know what I did 6 months ago or how many hives I had 6 months ago or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I said, they were doing a lot of commercial type stuff, and there was some backyard type. I think they were dividing it out in as far as the backyard and stuff. And they also dividing out, who treated, who didn't treat, and all that kind of stuff. But that was my biggest complaint to them. I said, I need to know what you need, what I need to take note of throughout the whole season in order to fill your stuff out. If I fill it out incorrect, well, then your data at the end is all incorrect and everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's always hard to, well, sometimes it's hard to go back and get that, information that you weren't really paying attention to, let alone
No,
recording.
not really. I mean, when I record data about it, like my individual hives, most of the time in the past, I just put a piece of medical tape on there and, have a little notation of, queen right, this, and this, and that's it. And keep on going type of thing. If I'm watching the hives and all that, and which helps.
So Shane, winter outdoors with our temps being so much milder lately, would you think that wrapping the hives would add to the bees flying longer? I kind of don't think so. It is far more to do with the outside temperature than the hive. The wrapping just makes it easier to regulate the temperature in the hive for the bees. That's my impression anyway.
Bruce said the fires are down in Riverside County, which is down in LA area. I didn't hear anything about it. So, but again, I haven't been looking at the news today, so I've had better things to do than listen to that.
So, Doug, what's up? What's going on?
Not much, Brad. I moved a couple of pallets today and wrapped the last 4 pallets at our honey house yard today.
Oh yeah.
So that was about it for the bees. I wouldn't mind
See,
giving them
another time I wish.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say another time I wish I was wintered outside. My bees would be wrapped, and I wouldn't care what's going on. Right? These poly hives that you see here in the corner, I don't worry about those. They're fine.
I would like to get one more dose of acid in them, only I'm a little worried. We had brood so late this year that I'm a little concerned with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a bit of late brood too. We'll see. We'll see if it's meaningful in the spring.
Yeah. Well, if we get some plus temperatures, I might try getting some more yards done that way.
Yeah. What vaporizer are you using?
I use the one that fellow in Alberta built.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've watched his videos on building that.
Yeah. They
What's
work
that?
really good. We have 2 ProVaps too, but these work far better than the ProVaps.
Oh, they do. Is he still building those?
As far as I know, I got a spare one from him last year.
Oh yeah.
But,
I'm thinking about maybe getting one from him.
We use the top entrance to vaporize with too, so I can do that through the winter if we can get at them.
Nice. Yeah, it's a vaporizer, Cahrlie, that a fella in Alberta has been building quite a while now. He's been building that a few years.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty nice unit.
It's about half the price the ProVap is.
Does he have a video on it?
Yeah.
He's got a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it is even. I should. You remember the name, Cahrlie? Doug?
Probably have it on my phone. I can probably find it.
In the videos, was there like a green banner or something on the videos?
No.
No, I don't think so. It's not a high production, like, it's not real polished or anything.
George Klempenauer, Vauxhall, Alberta. Joerg, and Klempa, or Klemphauer. If you do a search on YouTube, you'll probably come up with his videos.
Okay.
The thing we found with the ProVap, when it was colder, the little tubes want to crystallize all the time and blow the cap off. I wasn't having that problem with his. It feeds a little different. Maybe it's a little shorter
Is it
tube
copper?
on it too. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they're both copper. But Nathan was forever cleaning his, and I could just motor right along with mine.
It's not coming up with it.
Philip says the videos are 2 years old.
Yeah. So he's found the channel. What's the channel name?
I don't know if he has or not. Sounds like he has, but there's a guy up in I can't remember if it's Oregon or Washington. I think it's Oregon. He's a commercial guy, but he made his own vaporizer. It's what the heck is it? ETs, Bees. Let me see if I can find it. Really good concept too, and it's kind of a carry thing you set in front of the hive, and it shoots in the entrance right there. But it has a hopper on it that I don't know how many pounds of OA it holds, but it has an automatic thing. He has it timed where it's crazy. It's hard to explain, but let me see if I can find his info here.
KSL Farms on YouTube. Try that.
Okay.
Another one is capital E, capital T, ETs, Bees. That guy is making, I don't know if he's selling it yet, but the concept that he had was really well thought out.
It comes up with a TV station in
KSL Farms Incorporated
in Utah. That's better. Yes, sir. Okay. I should be able to do this.
You gonna get fancy here?
Well, I just posted the link to that guy's YouTube channel, and he's got 5 videos. One of them is his grandchild, and 4 of them are his vaporizer. Yeah, it looked like a good unit. I'm glad to hear that review, Doug, because I think I might see if I can get one of those.
The one I'm using,
put the link in the chat.
I've got 4 years out of the one I've got, and hasn't missed a beat. I bought a spare one just in case he quit building them, but
I have not ever talked to Dr. Curry about any testing on OA vaporizers that he may or may not have done, so I can't say. I think they just use a ProVap in what they do.
Did you find yours, Todd?
What's that?
Did you find that guy that has the automatic dispenser one?
Oh yeah, it's ET's bees.
ETBs?
Yeah, ET's like
That's like
plural.
the movie.
Yeah, there you go. Bees. Yeah, that's his YouTube channel. He's made some pretty interesting stuff.
We find vaporizing through the top entrance works a lot better than the bottom. And we do 6 grams at a time.
Yeah.
Seems to work better.
He's got a ET there. He's got a honey stick machine. It looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Like I said,
it does. The vapor does drop down rather than go up. Like it's not like steam that goes up. It actually drops down. So I think putting it in higher up is better.
You take that feeder cap off and put a little tube to direct it down, or a little piece of 90 PVC, and there you go. You know,
I think that fellow in Alberta actually made some for people with the tube going down, so they could do that.
Oh yeah. I would worry about that, because if you're putting that right down in the center, where's your queen? You don't want to blow that hot vapor right down the center of the cluster.
That's true.
What I've been doing is I always have a hard time explaining it, but I drill a hole in the side of the box, right at the back, just ahead of the back wall, so that the vapor goes into the and higher than center, higher than halfway up, so the vapor goes in through the back, along the back of the frames, and it'll permeate up through between the frames as it goes, and that way the hottest part of the vapor doesn't really come right in the center of the cluster like that. And my impression is that works really well.
Yeah, I try to direct it to one side and then to the other side through the small hole that we use.
Powdered sugar. Yeah, powdered sugar doesn't kill mites. It can loosen mites from the bees because of grooming behavior. And yes, it does work. It just doesn't work very well. You have to do it at least once a week if you're going to have any kind of success.
They did a powdered sugar experiments.
I can barely hear Charlie.
Now you can hear me.
There you go.
Oh, that's really loud.
They did powder. They did
that's
powder.
Too loud, Charlie.
What's that?
Okay, that's better.
There you go.
They did powder sugar 10 years ago. There was an article in the ABJ where it was it had little to no effect whatsoever. They were trying to get the bees to groom themselves, and the fact of the matter is they can't groom themselves because the outer shell of the mite is rounded, and when they go up into the platelets and they try to use their legs to groom, it feels like their own body, so they don't even know to groom. And then there's the, what would you call it? The beak of that thing, it actually has spinal processes going backwards. So if you try to pull it out, it actually digs into the bee wall. So they have to, it's kind of like a snake where it bites you. You actually have to push your hand into the mouth in order to get it to release, because the fangs are coming in at you. So that's super, super old technology.
I have never done a sugar roll.
I've done. Well, he's talking about not a sugar roll, but a sugar shake, I presume, right? Where
Oh,
he
well,
shake,
I thought they were-
shake
No,
the powder
no.
sugar, the 10x powder sugar on your bees. So the theory behind that was years ago was that if you did that, then the bees would groom themselves and groom the mites off of their bodies. But
Yeah.
it was proven to be ill effective. Now a sugar roll,
Well, Randy Oliver did quite an article on that, and he did say, yeah, it drops mites, just not very well. You have to do it every week or something. And a
Mhm.
sugar shake, people talk about testing for mite load,
yeah,
and
that's the
sugar
alcohol, kind of
sugar dusting is kind of what they're doing for mite control, which isn't very good.
no.
Cool.
Yeah, the sugar roll was more for it's the it was the first thing before they came out with the alcohol wash. And they went from the alcohol to the Dawn wash. Now which one's better than the other, I don't know. I use the alcohol more so than the Dawn when I do one.
I used alcohol today, but you know what? I only had 70%, so I had to really
I
go
haven't used
to
any
it.
alcohol today. Aren't you proud of me? That's straight Fresca, my friend.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Randy did say was the 90% actually does a better job.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if you put some Everclear on there.
Oh, jeez.
I want that to do a better job than 90%.
Yeah, you'd probably get a better result. Oh, man, that stuff is potent. Lee's drinking wine.
Mm.
He must be feeling better.
I don't know. He was feeling pretty rough last night.
Oh,
That's what he said.
Old. Good evening, Melanie.
I saw him
So,
say something. Oh,
Randy
go ahead.
asked a question a long time ago. He said, "Do I leave the doors of the barn, the bee barn, open to let the cold air in?" Um, uh, yes and no. I kind of, but I turn the fan on that draws cold air through the building and it cools down. So that's kind of how I handle that. I did turn it on today, and it started cooling down, just not very fast. So I decided to wait another day. So I don't really know how it's doing. I have my little sensor in there, but I don't have any updated data on it. So I can't say.
Got what I was going to say. I was just going to bring up something.
Sorry, Todd.
No, it's all right. Oh, don't forget to change your. Oh, you guys don't change time up
Oh,
there
yeah.
in Canada, do you?
Yeah, we do.
No,
Doug won't.
no.
That's tonight.
Doug
Why
won't
you-
be. Saskatchewan is the only sane place in North America concerning the time changes. So we will tonight.
So,
we
Doug,
will
you
become
stay
the
what?
same time as Saskatchewan.
Stay the standard time,
time.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm
Central Standard Time,
7:30 here.
year round.
So I've often wondered about that. You know, when you fall back as a 1 hour, then you get up in the morning when it's dark, and you come home, or you by the time you get off from work, it's almost dark. And
Yeah,
it's like if you leave it the way it was, I would think in the evening you would have at least that 1 hour or more that you could do something.
Well, yeah, you do get it. It's lighter in the morning though, because the time goes backwards. So what was 7 o'clock is now 6 o'clock. So now you wait an extra hour before,
You get up.
maybe you have to head out for your job. So it's lighter in the morning for a little while, and then the days just get short enough that it's dark all the time. It's Canada. It's dark a lot here in the winter.
Well, I do know there's a couple states down here that keeps the same time.
Yeah, Arizona.
Is it Ohio? I think is it?
Yeah, I don't know about it. I'm
Well,
Dude,
during,
Ohio.
during the summer, it would give you an hour longer more in the evening.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
guys that
I
wanted to
I
go-
do
go
wish
golf
they'd stop
on-
changing it, but I do prefer the daylight saving time
Yeah.
here. So
In California,
No.
they voted on stopping the time change, just keeping the clock the way it is, the whole year. And it was an overwhelming vote to be in favor of doing that. That was 3 years ago, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe longer. And the reason why it hasn't changed yet is because that becomes a federal issue. So they have to bring it up in Congress. And then, when Congress gets around and wanting to vote on it, then they'll do something about it. But I don't think it's even been brought up in Congress. So everybody voted to stop doing that, but it's, it still hasn't changed.
crazy.
So we're right on
Crazy.
the Manitoba border here, and it's a bit of a pain because you're always dealing with 2 time zones in a 7-mile rate distance, eh? So
Well, you are in the summer.
yeah,
You're not different in the winter. It's in the summer, Saskatchewan is the same time as Alberta, and in the winter, Saskatchewan is the same time as Manitoba. But it's not because Saskatchewan changes; it's because Alberta and Manitoba change. So it used to hit us just right where I grew up because we had the same TV station from 2 different towers. One was in Saskatchewan. So all summer, if we could watch a TV show as kids, and if we enjoyed it, we could watch it again. We just go to the other channel, and it's playing in Saskatchewan now. An hour later.
when I was young, I could go across the border and take a girl out and be home in bed 45 minutes before she was.
Well, when I was young, there's a reason the Saskatchewan boys used to come from Manitoba, but we won't talk about those reasons. I think Doug understands.
Yeah.
There's certain things you couldn't do in Saskatchewan.
Well, they kind of switched that around. First, they changed it here, and Manitoba come here, and then Manitoba changed it over there, and made it more favorable, so everybody went over there.
Oh yeah. Well, I was referring to the rule that there were no strippers in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Be careful. We don't want to drive off the road into the ditch.
Yeah, we don't want to drive off the road. Oh, those are the good old days, though, right? Well, not
Yeah,
that, not that we do, not
A
that I
mini
ever did
skirt
any of
just
that.
about killed us.
Yeah, Saskatchewan, that was a pretty sheltered place to be. I grew up, Doug, the same as situation as you are. I was 4 miles from the border where I grew up.
Which border?
Now, nature's sweet.
Saskatchewan. I was in Manitoba, but 4
Oh.
miles. Sorry, Charlie.
No, nature's sweet bees. He says that we left it all the time. Daylight would come on at 3 a.m. during May, June, and months. Now, where do you live at?
He's in Canada. That has to be Canada, right?
Probably out there where James is. Because I mean,
East of Ottawa, he is.
In the summertime, it gets light over here 5:30. 5:30.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's
really
not that much different here. It's I getting did you say getting light?
at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
sunrise. Yeah.
Well,
He's in Eastern
yeah,
Ontario.
sunrise here around solstice sunrise here is like 5 o'clock.
Mm.
So the sky is bright by 3:30, 4.
Oh, geez.
In the morning. In the morning.
There hardly any night. Yeah, oh yeah. I can watch the glow, and I'm not that far north, but I can watch the glow of the sun all night in the north here.
Hmm.
You know, on a clear night kind of thing. It's not very long nights
No.
around solstice.
Yeah, Todd, I looked your thing up. It's 2018 when they did that legislation thing,
5 years ago. Yeah.
but they never.
So
Your guys at the local level never did anything with it. I don't think.
But no, it's a state issue they have to bring up to the federal, and they haven't done it yet. Who knows? I wouldn't mind. I don't
Just wish
care.
somebody would champion it.
Huh?
I just wish somebody would champion that because everybody complains about it. I don't think, I used to work in IT for like a couple decades, and what a huge pain. I would have to sit up all night that night restarting everything because I had to make sure everything started up with the correct time in the morning, right? Because stuff didn't just change time by itself. You had to shut everything down and you had to restart everything. And when you're talking about back end systems, it's not just a matter of clicking shut down. It's really involved. You have to do systems dependent on other systems. You have to do everything in the right order. And then things wouldn't work, and you have to do it again. And what a huge nightmare twice a year to do that. Just terrible.
Didn't it come up as it was during World War II, wasn't it? That they something to do with working daylight hours as much as you can for the war effort. It was that, and I believe saving oil, oil or gas for the electricity
Heating.
at night and heating.
Electric lights and not heating, electric lights. Like W changed it again because he wanted to, he made daylight saving time run for more months.
Yeah.
It starts earlier in the year and it ends later in the year since he was in office. And Canada has to follow suit because you can't have two major countries in North America doing it at a different time.
Yeah.
And it was calculated that you would save electricity because you're not running your lights as long.
But I think originally, though, it was in the during the 40s, right after the U.S. entered the war. They, had.
Well, there's what Norman says.
Norman is a very smart man, and this is what he has to say. So
yeah.
I'm
During World War
One.
Oh, I thought it was World War II. Okay.
Were you still in IT when we turned over to 2000, Brad?
Yeah, I was only in IT about 5 years by that time. That was the most ridiculous thing. I mean, we did a lot of work the previous couple of years coming up to that, but everybody was just losing their minds over it. And then the whole thing happened and it was sort of, we're still here, It was sort of, come on.
Yeah.
I heard that there was a lot of programming, like you say, done prior. Was it Cobalt programming at that time or something like that?
Well, not Cobalt, it's Cobol without a T. But
Cobol.
Yeah, you're right. There was, and that's what I say. For 2 or 3 years, all the IT people in the world worked very hard. to update software and update machines, and we had to buy a lot of new computers and things that would support the 4-digit dates and all that. But all the tin hat people would just losing their minds that the world's going to end when the calendar flips over. It's sort of like my boss at the
about
time
like
was one of them.
somebody did a what was it, a compilation of videos from all these here left-winger talk hosts, when Trump got in there. And I forget this one girl. She was, no, this is not, like the Twilight Zone or something like that. It really happened. He got in there. They were like, totally just like you say, dying over it. I said, it's just an election, what's the big deal? But anyway.
Need 2 chairs there, Brad?
Almost. Almost is a big fella. He's a big fella. Fortunately, he's skinny because he's really, really big. I just saw Brian asking, where's everybody's cats tonight? So this guy was sitting on my lap, so bring him up to say hi.
Yeah, the one we got, he's in the shed.
Shop cat. Keep the mice
He does
down.
look like a lion. He's a good boy.
I'm on a pet holiday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a dog in 4 years. So taking a break. Guess I'm not done yet.
It's tough when you lose them.
Yeah. Yeah, I had German Shepherds.
Mm-hmm. This guy's getting old, but he's feeling pretty good these days. That's nice.
Good. Got some medicine in him. Working with him.
Yeah, he hasn't been taking a lot of medicine lately. He just seems to have really straightened up, which is nice.
Good. I just you might hang in there more than what you think, or what they think.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. See, Norman, one of the reasons why I'm still on a pet holiday is I could take the weekends and go somewhere. I don't have to find someone to watch them or feed them or whatever. Although tomorrow I have to go to the farm and feed the dogs. That's my Sunday duty. So, but
whose dogs are those? Somebody else, the farmers?
Yeah, the farm manager out there. So I feed them on Sundays, which gives me an excuse to go out there and see the bees anyway. So I was going to go out there anyway, and I told him, yeah, I'll start feeding them on Sundays. No big deal.
See you, Lee.
See you, Lee.
No pets here, but my son was on an acreage.
Right,
he has a Kangal.
What's a Kangal?
A Kangal.
A great big dog, 160 pounds.
Holy cow.
Oh, my goodness.
They were bred in Europe to protect.
Sure it's not a pony?
Yeah. If they're bred in Europe to protect the animals there from wolves and bear.
I think I have heard of those. Wow.
Aren't they from way back in like the 1700s or something like that? 1600s? They were huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like big hunting dogs or something.
Where he lives right on the valley, lots of coyotes, lots of bear, and it handles them.
Wow. Wow. So, lots of bee talk tonight. What are you talking? Pets and dogs and...
Yeah.
See, Norman's got it. Norman had a Kangal, he says, so he knows.
Oh, yeah.
One day I was driving out to the farm. I'm going down the road, and before you get to the farm on the left-hand side, this guy has 100 boar goats. And they're usually out in this field and stuff, and, they're just eating grass and stuff. And one morning I'm driving down the road, I look over there, and they're all tightly bunched in a circle. I mean, a perfect circle. And then off behind them and kind of running around, I could see two of them running around. And I slowed down. I looked at them. I thought, wow, that looks like that's a funny looking goat. Well, one of them was an Anatolian shepherd, and the other one was a coyote. And that shepherd was chasing the hell out of that coyote. And all the goats were scared to death, and they're all packed into a circle. It was crazy. They were running around. I guess that's why the goats were in a circle, because the dog was chasing the coyote around the goats. It was hilarious. And eventually, I didn't see any dead goats out there when I left. So I'm sure the dog got rid of the goat or the coyote. But Anatolian shepherds are nice herding dogs too, or protective dogs for livestock.
Yeah, I've never seen it really go after anything other than it's heard something in the bush, and I've seen it take off as hard as it could go.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary.
And you're talking the Kangal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be its victim, that's for sure.
Well, 160-pound dog is pretty massive.
Yeah.
Large food bill too.
You had to take it to the vet to get medication for wood ticks.
Uh-huh.
And they wouldn't prescribe it until they weighed it. They wanted to know how much it was. And that's what it was. A little over the 160 pounds.
Wow.
Yikes. Wow.
Just rub some Amatraz on it. It'll be fine. Get rid of the ticks.
Yeah. Well, I understand that that's used in dog tick collars.
Yeah. Cattle too. They treat them. They dip them in Amatraz or some sort of solution that has it.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know if they dip them, but they squirt something on the fur and it spreads out.
Yeah.
They do have a dipping tank for cattle, like in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
where they walk them down in and get them up to their neck and whatever it is they use.
Norman says, you get lots of exercise, will keep you in shape. Do I look like I'm in shape to you? What's the matter with your eyes? I do get some exercise, but it ain't doing me any good, I don't think.
How?
Wow. Well,
I know it got quiet all of a sudden.
Keep your bees
What's that,
outside
Doug?
back there, Brad. You'll have to put sweaters on them all.
I might have to go and wrap all my bees now.
People ask me what we do with them in the wintertime. I said, well, we just put sweaters on them.
Start knitting now. I only got 5 million to go.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Norm. Anything you're going to do different this winter? Nothing I'm going to do different this winter, really. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm doing something different now. Leaving my bees out for a while yet. But that tragedy was mainly Nosema caused, so I hope I'm on top of that now. Used some fumagillin that seemed to work. I've got some other kind of nutritional products that are supposed to have a good effect on Nosema, and so I just have to clean that up. And I rendered. I remember showing on that video all those frames that I rendered. There's 730 frames I rendered out this year, and I'm not even done. I've rendered them all, but I have to clean up the foundation and the frames yet to put them all back together, and then re-wax them all so I can use them again. And that'll be spring because I need to use the wax melter for that. And yeah, so that's it. Just trying to keep the Nosema in check, and I have to do a little better job of keeping mites in check. I didn't do that very well this year, and my mite numbers got out of control. So my bees are not well at this point, and I could have a pretty nasty winter. But we'll see in the spring. Can't do anything now, right?
It is what it is, right?
It is what it is. I hear probiotics are helpful. I hear that too. There are field trials that suggest that they make a difference. I'm not aware of any sciencey papers that are written and published to that effect.
Brian, I do cook with a little honey, but not much. You guys know I cook a lot, but usually not a lot of honey. I don't use a lot, so more eating, less cooking.
Now, with your mite issues, Brad, is it because you didn't have time to, or was it just time of the year or whatever?
No, I followed my pretty well my usual regime for mite control. Admittedly, I'm not the best at doing a lot of monitoring, and this is and learn from my mistakes, everyone. Not doing post-treatment testing has bit me in the backside twice now with catastrophic results. So I have to get better at that. That's the one thing I have to get a lot better at, that doing post-test mite washes. And that was coupled with, the first time was a few years ago, I used a formic acid product, and I think the weather was a bit too cold, and I don't think it worked. And I didn't do post-treatment testing, so I didn't catch on that it didn't work. This time, I didn't do post-treatment testing to find out that my mites are now amitraz resistant. The lab took a sample of my mites, and they came back and said, yeah, it ain't working. Amitraz is not killing these mites. So amitraz is pretty much off the table for me now, and I need to get better and more accustomed to using products like, I already use oxalic acid vapor, but only in the fall. So I have to get better at using things like Formic Pro, formic acid, and there's Apelifar I can use, and I'm not really sure of any other. Doug, are you aware of any others that I can learn about in this part of the world?
Not really, no.
You know,
That's about it.
I just don't understand why Apigard isn't approved up there.
It's probably just nobody's bothered to spend the money to approve it. We're such a small market compared to you guys, right? That, you know, they just probably just haven't
Well,
bothered to do it.
isn't Apigard made by a Canadian company?
I don't know.
Nod.
I believe.
No, it's not made by Nod. I have got the. Well, hang on. Let me get it. Until they tell you.
Brex's Thymovar and HopGuard 3. The HopGuard products worry me a little because there's HopGuard 1 and then there's HopGuard 2 and HopGuard 3. It's like, when are you going to get it right? You know, it's kind of
They
like
don't work.
buying all 8 tracks and then realizing that now everything is cassette.
The HopGuard doesn't work. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
HopGuard,
anything.
maybe that's why they keep changing it.
It's been tested and it just doesn't work.
Did anybody
So
catch
extended
Bob
release
Benny?
oxalic acid would be good. Sorry, Doug.
Did anybody catch Bob Benny's bit on foul brood? His last clip was
On
pretty interesting.
EFB,
Or yeah, European foul brood.
I did. Yes, very interesting stuff for sure. I liked that he did a test of that essential oil concoction that he showed, and it seemed to have a positive effect. That's really encouraging.
Charlie, to answer your question, it's Vita Pharma. They
So that's the same company that makes Apivar and Apilife Bar. They sell it anyway. I don't know.
They
Yeah,
make it.
Apilife Bar and Aprigard are the same product. It both has thymol in it.
It just says Apigard's
Yeah.
a registered trademark of Vita Limited, which is in Europe or the UK.
It's a
I
French
think
company.
it says from whatever in Germany or someplace.
France.
France.
Yeah. Vita Pharma is France.
Oh, I'm just going off what the old letter said. Looks like I froze again.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes, it does. So Norman points this out, and this is true. You know what? I've got another YouTube channel to, well, not channel so much as a video to share with everyone. This is a guy, I watched his videos a while ago, and then I was watching a presentation by Randy Oliver, and he actually referenced this fella, so it kind of brought him back into my radar. And this video, I'm gonna, if I can copy this. This video, he talks about things like that. He talks about many cultural mite controls, but brood removal is one of them. And I just remember he said, it sounds dramatic, but it really doesn't set them back that much. I kind of did that on a couple of colonies this year, but suffice to say that we all know that brood breaks are very helpful, and brood removal is an instant brood break, right? You've just removed the queen for 21 days or whatever, and she kind of got to start all over. So you've not only removed the mites that are in the cells that you remove, but the mites that are left are going to have a very difficult time reproducing because of the small number of larvae that they have to feed on and reproduce in once the queen, starts laying again. So he describes it pretty good. So watch that video sometime.
Works good for a guy with a few hives, but if you've got a few hundred, it's out of the question.
Oh, totally agreed. Totally agreed. Yeah, totally agreed.
Looks like it. Oh no, I'm moving.
Flower on my shirt. Flower on my shirt is not to attract bees. It's to remember why I can keep bees freely in this country. That's why that flower's on my shirt. It's the time to remember those who provide our freedom and have done in the past and still do today. And Norman knows all about that.
Don Cherry used to wear that proudly every broadcast.
Yeah.
But of course, Brad, you don't know hockey, so I think you know Don Cherry.
I know who Don Cherry is. There's not a Canadian alive that doesn't know who Don
That
Cherry
man
is.
is hilarious. He is so funny.
You don't have to be a hockey fan to know who Don Cherry is.
He's great.
So he's asking. Norman's dad was a military man. So that's near and dear to his heart. I think it's universal, isn't it, guys?
What's that?
The poppy is a U.S. symbol as well, is it not?
No.
It's for.
So this is not really familiar.
Not for me.
To our neighbors to the
No,
south.
no, but there is something similar. I just can't remember what it is right now.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil. No, I'm. We were talking about that, and I'm afraid to put them in, and I'm afraid to leave them out. The temperature is just the perfect worst temperature. I was going to put them in today, but the building was not cool enough, and I don't know what to do. They seem content outside. Yeah, it's a conundrum. So yes, it's a symbol of our remembrance of our military heroes that have staved off those who want to infiltrate our way of life. Yeah, Phil, I hear that. Yeah, I don't know. Is Phil, is your building staying cool enough?
So, Brad, what are you going to do? Are you going to crank the AC in the shed or what?
I got no AC. I have an air conditioner in there. Oh yeah, it's staying cool, no problem. So I have an air conditioner in there, but you can't air condition down to that temperature. You need refrigeration if you're going to go below about 15 C. So yeah, Phil's got an air intake that comes from a storage building, so it's not just coming directly from outside, so it's cool. It's a cool building. That's a smart way to do it. We'll see tomorrow. I hadn't turned on. I should have. I was kind of stupid. I hadn't turned on my ventilation fan. I just shut the heat off in the building a number of days ago, but it didn't cool off as fast as I thought it might. So it's kind of my own fault. We'll see tomorrow what the temperature is in there. Well, everyone, just over 2 hours. I think we should call tonight a wrap, and I appreciate everybody dropping in to discuss bees and other stuff this evening. It was an enjoyable talk. Thanks, Charlie and Doug and Todd, for joining us on screen, and everybody joining in the chat. I appreciate that very much. We had a lot of good representation here, and yeah, hit the like if you don't mind. That always helps. Thanks, Norman, for that reminder. And I'm going to end the live here and bid you all a good night. And thanks for joining us here Saturday night. And we'll see you again on another stream.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.